last page that we have to create is the contact page. Now, of course, we're going to change a few things. We're going to change the title. We're going to change the active so the navigation works, and we're going to change this first off. Then we're going to concentrate on this middle section. Now, we already have the middle div, or the div that's going to center all of this, so that part's going to work great. So we don't need to worry about that, but we're going to have to adjust these input boxes. So let's go ahead and change what we do know that we need to change: title and the active parts. And we also need to create the page itself. All right, so I have my products page, and you can leave this like this if you want, or you can go to the index and duplicate that. It's up to you of how you want to do it. The only thing is that we need to remove. Now, I would first off save your page and create it, and you want to make sure it's contact, not contact us, or unless you name this contact us, but we're just going to name it contact, put it in there. Okay, now first things first, go to the top, change home to contact. All right, remove this active from the home button here. Now, if you chose to copy the products page or do a save as on the products page, then you would remove active from the products page. And then we're just putting that there. Now, remember, we're doing this as a class called active, okay? And you can look for it if you want. Let's just find it as your page gets better. So notice how we just have this class, and it's targeting just the anchor tags in our nav, and it's just changing the color of it. So that's all we're doing here. The last thing we need to do is go all the way to the bottom of our page and change home to contact. If I could spell it, right? All right, so now we have contact. Let's go over and preview this page. Now we're on products here, but because we've created the new contact page, we should be able to click on the contact here, and it should be able to navigate to that page. And as you see, we did. This all still works. Our contact is active, and we have contact over here. So everything seems to work just the way we wanted to so far, and we have the word contact up here. Now, the content here in the middle, we're going to have to change a little bit. And the reason why I chose the home page is because there's very little content here, and I can remove it very easy. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to minimize these paragraphs. And if you notice that we're in this content container, I'm just going to remove these two paragraphs. And the thing we want to put in here, now we can add another div if you want, and you could put a form in there if you would like to. So let's go look at Adobe XD to see what it looks like. There's no header up here at the top. So we just have labels, and we have the input boxes and the submit button. Now you can put this in a form, and that's the way you would see it more often. So let's just go ahead and do it. Now we don't have an action because we're not going to make this form actually work. Okay, so we're just going to give this a class if you want, and we'll just call it contact-form. All right, so in this form, let's style it. We're going to come to the style page again, and I'm going to open this up a little bit, and we're going to duplicate this. And remember, I like to keep everything in line, and contact is our last page. Now here's our overlay text. Let's do it right before that and right before the footer. Okay, so now we're going to style the form, and we called it contact-form. And the only thing I'm going to do right now is just give it a background color. I just want to see where it's positioned and what it looks like, and we'll just do that. And now it doesn't have a height, okay, but let's go take a look and see if what it shows. Okay, there's nothing there. The minimum height, remember, we're getting a minimum height, and that's from the contact container, which is up here at the top. Contact, there's our hero, contact container. Let's just look at it. There it is, content wrapper, content container. Okay, max width. And then we have a min height from the content wrapper, okay, which is right here. All right, so that's where we're getting the height from and the max width. Now let's get some stuff inside of this form so we can start seeing it. Now I'm not going to adjust the height of this form because as soon as we start adding information, it will just start displaying. The first thing we want to do is put a label in there. And it's for the first name. So we're going to say first, and you'll see where this goes here in a second. And we're just going to call this first name. All right, now let's look at our XD. Notice it says first name, and then it has an asterisk, and then a colon, and then last name, email, and phone number. So right here, we're going to put an asterisk and a colon after that, right? So let's just go ahead and create this for all of them. Now I'm going to put a couple spaces in there. Okay, this one's going to be last name. Notice I'm putting for last name. This one is, I believe it was email and then phone number. So we're just going to put email here. Sorry about that. Don't forget to change the text that's on the inside. Okay, and this one is email. And instead, this one is phone. We're just going to put phone here. And don't forget to change this. Now, the asterisk usually means that, and I think this says phone number. Okay, we're saved it, and it says phone number. Now, the asterisk usually means that it's required. So let's go look and see what this looks like right now as it stands. And you'll notice that they're all lined up in a row, but we're going to fix that here in just a minute. Okay, but we got an asterisk, and look at the asterisks up, which is great. It's already working the way we want to. The only thing we have to do is style that. And the reason why it's brown is because we put that background color on the form. Okay, right here at contact form. All right, so in the contact form itself, let's get those labels to look right. Now, we're going to do contact form, and we're just going to hit the label. And notice I'm targeting the actual element right here. And notice that in our Chrome that they're lined up next to each other. And what that really means is that that they're not a block level element, they're an inline, okay, which means they stack up next to each other. So all we have to do in this one is say display block. And when you do that and you go look, you'll notice that all of them now stack on top of each other because they all take up the same line, or just like a div would. All right, now we need to add an input box right after these. And you'll see what this for was used for. So we're going to say input, text, okay? And you'll see what the type is text. Now you want inside of here a name, and the name is going to be first name. Now, we don't really normally have to worry about like the name here for this because we're not making it work. But if you were making it work, you would need to put that. Now, one thing I want to show you here is that you'll notice that we didn't have an end to this input. Like it's not a container element. Let's go take a look and see what it looks like. Notice I can click in it and it's right below, right, this label. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. The next one is the last name. Okay, and we're just going to change the name to last. And notice that I leave it as type of text. Let's see what this looks like. And now we have two. Okay, the next one is email. And instead of type text, we're going to do type email. Now you won't see a change. We're going to do name. You won't see a change at all right here. But what will happen is when you do hit the submit button, it's going to actually validate that and make sure you have an @ symbol in there. So it's going to validate kind of the email address. Not a very strict validation, but enough that, you know, it would work for you if you had to use it. Okay, the last thing is your phone number. And if you look at this, and if you're not sure of the different types, we're just going to back out and hit type, and then you can look and see what they have. And you can type in phone. Now you'll notice they don't have it, so we're just going to make sure that it's a number. So you can't type a text in there, it has to be a number. And this one is going to be name of phone. Let's go look at what it looks like now. Okay, and now you'll notice that now this has a number. Okay, that may not be what we need, so let's go look and see what else they have. Okay. Okay, they have a date, color picker, button, password. You'll see all of this. Let's see what this says right here. And now look, can add these, and we can add the telephone number. Okay, so let's leave it like that. And we have our input boxes. Now let's get everything adjusted the way we need. I'm also going to adjust these inputs instead of, okay, and they're going to be displayed block as well. Okay, now let's go look at how wide they really are. Okay, so these input boxes are 1014 pixels wide and 81 tall. Okay, so let's go adjust that. 81 tall and 1014. Okay, so input boxes, block, height, 81, and width, 1014 pixels. Now let's go look and see what it looks like now. Oop. Here we go, and you'll notice that now they're really big, right? And a lot bigger than what it probably should be, because that's not the way it looks here, but that is the height, as 81. All right, so let's change that to make it look more like it should. Also, this has a little gap in between these two. Okay, so we're just going to put a margin bottom, or you could actually do a margin top on the input itself. So we're going to change this, and we're going to change it from 81, maybe let's change it down to 50, and let's put a margin top of, let's say, like 20 pixels. And let's see if that adjusts it the way we wanted it to. Okay, now you'll notice the brown is just the background of the form itself. Okay, and now you'll notice that these text inputs look a little bit better. Okay, the text is away from that, but now the text is up against the bottom here. Okay, so we're also going to put margin bottom. I just don't want to do like all four properties, so I'm just going to do shorthand, and all I'm going to do is just add the 0 here. The next thing I want to do is take off the background color off this form. Okay, and now you'll see that it's looking closer to what it should. We just need to add a border color to these. Okay, so, and that's each one of those inputs. All right, so we're going to say border, and you can actually just add border color. Okay, and the color of that is right here. So I'm just going to copy the hex code. Now here you don't want to add, okay, and there you go. You don't want to say color, you want to say border color. Let's go take a look at this now. Okay, and you'll notice that it's starting to work, you know, but you'll notice that it has this like little black area here. And also in our XD file, this looks like, let's see what kind of stroke it has on it, and it's size 3. Okay, so we're going to go back and change this. So we're going to say border, and you can actually have border style, okay? And notice how there's no border stroke, okay? Now one thing, when I start adding more properties, I like to go ahead and shorthand it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that color there, and notice that when I type the colon, we get some shortcuts, right? And it's asking for the size, and we're going to say we wanted a solid line, and this is the color that we want. Now let's look at it. We come over here, and now you'll notice that it looks just like the form itself. The last thing we need to do is change this asterisk here, right? And then make sure the gap is correct. So it looks like there's a little bit more gap between the top and the bottom. So we're going to adjust the margin bottom here. And you can do that from the contact form, right? And notice it's different from the top. So we're going to say like 50 pixels and then 0. Now remember that it goes top, right, bottom, left. Let's go look and see if it's getting closer. Okay, there is a bigger spacing here, all right, which is good. All right, now let's go fix that little asterisk sign right there. Okay, now this asterisk sign is almost the same color as the salmon, and the way that you're going to fix that is you're going to come over here, and around each asterisk sign, we're going to actually surround it with a span. Okay, so we're going to say span, and we're going to put this little asterisk inside of it. Okay, now don't put the colon in there. We just want the asterisk. And so what I'm going to do is copy this, and I'm going to replace this asterisk everywhere that's down through here. And remember, we're just styling the span tag. That's it. Okay, and let's get rid of that asterisk. Now over here in this contact form, we can also style the span. So we're going to say contact form, span tag, and then you are going to change it to the color that it was, which is right here. Now remember, it is text. Okay, so we can actually put the word color there. Let's go see what it looks like. And you'll notice that now just that asterisk has been changed to the color that we needed to say it's required. Now that form looks a little bit bigger, but on my screen, this is extremely large. Remember, it doesn't look that big on here, but I'm only 31%. The last thing we need to do is create the submit button. That's just as easy as what we have been doing. The submit button actually, believe it or not, is just an input button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here after this input, and I'm just going to create another input, and we're going to put type submit. Okay, and the value is what actually says what you want it to do. So for instance, we're going to say contact, and I just want to put contact here so you can see what this button would do. Notice it's the full width because it's an input as well, and notice it says contact. In our XD file, it says submit. Okay, the button width is 246, the height is 76. We're just going to make a height of 51 or 50, what we had it. Okay, so let's make an adjustment here. Now, because we want extra styling on here and we don't want the same styling as these inputs, let's go ahead and give it a class. And we're going to call this submit-button, right? And we need to change the value to submit. Okay, now remember, this value is actually what shows inside the button. Okay, so we're going to come over here and take a look at it. Notice it says submit now, right? And we're going to change the background color of this class. So again, I'm coming over here. It's after all of these, and I want to be very specific. Okay, so we're going to say contact form, and then we're going to say class of submit button. And I want to change the background color, okay? And I want to change it to what we have right here. And let's see what happens when I do that. And notice how the background color of that button is all salmon color. Let's change that submit color to white, because that's what it is in the... There it is, okay. Now remember, the width of that button was like 246, so we need to make the height. The height's going to stay the same, but we need to make the width of 246 pixels, okay. I always like to just bounce back and take a look and make sure we're doing it. Okay, now we need to center that as well. And remember, it's display block, so all we should have to do here on this one is put margin 0 auto. And that should center that on our page. There it is. Look at that. All right, so now we're continuing. Now you notice the form is starting to touch the top and the bottom here, okay? But we're going to fix that. And that's the reason, because this is starting to grow and it's hitting the max width. So we'll see if this is going to grow or what's going to happen here in a second. All right, so we're going to jump over and we need to round the corners of that. So we're going to do border radius, and let's add like a 10 pixel radius on each side of that and see what it looks like. And you'll notice that, oh, it looks okay, right? And we need to make the font size bigger. So let's go to our XD, and right here it can actually even tell you what they use for the radius, and that's 38 on each one. Okay, and you'll notice that here the font is 30 again. So we're going to come up here and copy that font size of 30. Put that there, and let's make this border radius, let's make it even bigger. We'll say it's 20, and take a look at it. Okay, now that's extremely large, but that's what it is in the Adobe XD. We're just going to change that again. I don't like it that big. Remember, you can change it to however you want. And we come down here and notice that looks a little bit better. Okay, so here's our form. It actually, you click in there and it works. Okay, the thing about it is I don't like the way this is right up against that edge, and I need this font to be a little bit bigger. And the way that you can do that is come over to your code, and in the input itself, which is right here, you can add a few things, right? So you can actually add padding, and we just want padding left. And let's say that it's like 20 pixels. And what this will do is, notice that put this little gap right here on the edge, so when you start typing. And we also want the font size to be bigger. So you can make that font size whatever you would like. We're going to put font size, and let's say that it's 20 in there, and let's see what that looks like. There, that's a lot better. It fits inside the box better. Okay. Now, we're not going to worry about this focus. This is called a focus. Whenever you click on something, it turns it blue. There is a way to change that. It's outside of this, but it would use a pseudo class as well. Okay, but so we may get to that, but right now we're not worried about it. So I got this working. Okay, everything is good. We just need to put a margin on the top and then on the bottom as well. And you can do that from the form, and that's why we created this class, right? So let's do margin top, or if you want, we can shorthand it. So margin top, let's say it's 50 pixels, and that'll do the bottom as well. And left and right, we don't want anything. And notice that now it pushed it away from the top and it pushed it away from the bottom. And if you want more inside of there, you can always change it to add just a little extra. And here you go. And that's how you create a form. Now remember, this doesn't work. It's not going to submit any data. Okay, that's a whole bigger thing to do. One thing I do want to show you is that if you ever have a form, if you ever have a form and you want words inside of here, okay, that's called a placeholder. And the way that you would do that is, I'm just going to show you here in this phone, you just put placeholder, and then you just put phone, or whatever you want it to say, phone number. And we go look, and now you'll notice that it says phone number right here. Okay, so that's how you would do that in case you didn't want to label here. But in our case, we don't have that. So I'm going to remove this. So that is the entire site of the soap factory. Let's take a look at it. We can come back up here. We got products. Notice that nothing's changed. Okay, we come down here at the bottom. We go to about. We have the co-owner, and we have home, which just has those. And notice that the left text all changes with the page. And that's how you create a nice site, with just HTML and CSS. Now, the last thing I want to do is I'm going to upload all of this to my Git before I forget. And you'll notice that in here, I only have 2 changes, what I did, and those are the only 2 files I've been messing with, right? So I'm just going to put added extra pages. And then remember, that's just a quick note. And then in here, you're going to say added products and contact page. That's more descriptive. Then you hit commit to master. And then don't forget, you always want to push it up to GitHub. All right. So now that we've done that, our code is up on GitHub. We can always see it and view it if we wanted to. Right. So I'm just going to close that down. And last, if you really want to try to get rid of that blue focus, you can do that. It's a little bit harder to do, and I'm just going to open my style up a little bit more, and that's in the input. And you can just contact form, and then you say input, and then there's this thing called focus. And you can actually tell the style or the border or whatever. And then down here, we're going to say outline, none. And let's see what happens to this. So we come down here and notice that when we click in here, we no longer have that nice, ugly blue focus that was applied. So that's how you get rid of all of that. Okay, and you have your site. So hopefully this helps you create a bigger site. And remember, a lot of this stuff is bigger, but that was because of our Adobe XD file. We followed it to a T. You probably wouldn't want things this big, but if that's what the designer gives you, that's what you make. Hopefully this helps, and continue watching the channel and we'll make more creative things.